Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much for the invitation to participate in the sixth Qatar International Internal Medicine Conference. And I'm really sorry that I could not be with you in person. Thank you very much, Professor Abdul Nasser, for the invitation. And my theme of the talk in the 20 minutes or so is to discuss how to pick a journal and what to submit. And also, I'll be stopping at the issues related to the very hot topic of predatory journalism. I have no disclosures to make in relationship to the contents of this presentation, and my presentation is compliant with the standards of CPD. In a quick presentation, I would like to address 3 points. First, to start with, I will have a short introduction. Then we'll talk about how to pick a journal, how to avoid predatory journals, and what to submit to make your submission very smooth and effective. Now, by way of introduction, we know that publications in a peer-reviewed journal is the penultimate step in any research project, by which research gets to others who are interested, it advances knowledge, it encourages communication, and eventually helps the clients of the subject matter that is being discussed in the research. Secondly, the choice of a suitable journal, which is more likely to accept the published work or accept the work for publication, is very important aspect of the publication process. And submitting a paper to the wrong journal actually results in a series of rejections on most occasions, therefore stalling the research work and delaying career progression. We should recognize that even high impact work that that's done fully perfectly can be rejected if it is sent to the wrong journal, i.e., if the topic of the research does not align with the scope of the journal. For the last part of my presentation, any careless submission can give a bad impression of the researcher caliber and the research credibility. Now, how to pick a journal? The criteria for choosing the correct journal, firstly, to ensure that the paper fits very well within the scope of the journal. Secondly, to assess the credentials of the journal and the publisher. So you don't want to have your journal, your work published in a dubious journal or with a dubious publisher. Thirdly, to browse the content they publish for quality and relevance in your field. And last, to have some consideration of the cost. If you do have funding available for supporting of the publication or not. In practical steps, first thing is to check the quality of the website, check that the tools and services they offer to authors are adequate and good, and submit the research to only one journal at a time, and check if they offer transfers to another journal. Be careful here about the transfer from subscription only to to open access. So you have to be careful about that. And follow the instruction to authors meticulously. There are several factors that are involved in the decision of selecting a given journal for a given article. They are done here on this slide, but I think I will rather give a much focused discussion of that. Here, the 5 points that one should consider. The audience, am I writing for a generalist audience, a wide audience, or I'm writing for a narrow specialist group? Secondly, what is the scope of the journal? What are the types of articles? Are they publishing originals, reviews, technical notes, cases? So, how my article type fits with the scope of the journal. Thirdly, study design. Look at the contents. Are they publishing clinical trials? Are they observational studies, cases, surveys? There are nowadays, for instance, there are some journals that actually clearly says that they will not accept any surveys. Fourthly is the expense, the open access versus subscription models. And do you have arrangement for funding or not? And here you have to have a balance between the cost and the reach of your article. And the last point is the time. The turnaround time is suitable for your needs. For instance, if you are desperate for a promotion or you're desperate for some provisional publication for your next grant application. I have found people talking about the selection of journals using online software. The most famous are two, the Jane and the Elsevier Journal Finder. The Jane is short for Journal Author Name Estimator. I have decided to put these into test. I have a recent submission published to one journal and it was rejected, so I've sent it to another journal as usual. And I've copied the abstract as required. This is the recommendation from Jane. They turned up with 33 results. The top one is the one that we have identified originally and it was rejected. And most of them are journals. This is the way they present them to you in a list uh, with their status, midline index or not, PMC, for instance, high quality, comments on that from the editorial point of view. And also, they will put in the article influence and they can give you a link for the articles that are associated on which basis they have made the decision. So here we came to 33 results, the quite extensive list. Elsevier have produced 40 results, and this is the way they present them. They present them in order, but they give you all the impact factor, the site score, the time to the first decision, time to acceptance. But again, it is a quite extensive list. Now we'll turn to the very hot subject of the predatory journals and how important that we have to avoid them. Now, to identify predatory journals, there is a growing number of entities that misrepresent themselves as scholarly journals, eh, purely for financial gain. They are not interested in what we are all interested in here about the scholarly publishing. They do not meet the scholarly publishing standards, and they are not interested in that at all. So these predatory journals or pseudo journals or pseudo entities, they target unwary authors and reviewers. And they send people invitations to join as editors, as members of the editorial board, etc., etc. They have been estimated a few years ago to be over 1,500. Naturally, by breaking the rules of the peer reviewing process, they erode into the credibility of science and published work. This is a very short list of what are the features of predatory journals. There's a very minimal to no review process. There's very short processing time. Indeed, the journals have no shame of publicizing their short review time. The Published articles are very poor in quality. You find a lot of misspellings in them, a lot of the poor editorial work, because effectively they're not proper editors. There's a wide scope of the journal, and you find articles from spreading from medicine to geography in the same journal. The article processing charges are typically low because they live on increased number of articles and they are not transparent. This is the World Association of Medical Editors guide to how to go around predatory journal detection. Here, looking for the Jeffrey Beall's features that have been identified as problematic and or absence of criteria on think, check, and submit. So here you follow if it is there on the right side. You look, is the journal listed on the Director of Open Access Journals? If yes, then just check for yourself about the website, the policies, practices, or any warning signs. If they are not listed, then they're probably predators. If there are no features here, again, go back to the list of the Director of Open Access Journals. And if the journal is on the list, then probably legitimate. And if it is not on the list, then go back to look for the criteria for open access, Director of Open Access journals. And if the answer is yes, then they're probably legitimate. So one has to be very careful. This is the website for Think, Check, and Submit. So the idea is to identify trusted publishers for your research work and avoid falling prey to predatory journals. Think, are you submitting your research to a trusted journal or publisher? Is it the right journal or book for your work? Check, use the website's checklist to assess the journal or publisher, and submit only if you can answer yes to the questions on the website. In short, the advice here, check the appeals list, check the journals on the internet for any suspicious features. On the journal site, check if the publisher's full contact information are available, including addresses. Check that the editorial board, if actually they include experts in the field. And also you may even contact one of them to double check that he's aware of his membership of the editorial board, and check the published papers for quality. Be very suspicious for any extremely fast publications, and check journals membership of the Director of Open Access Journals. We had a lot of concern in the region about the dangers of predatory journals, their impact on our authors and potential reviewers and potential members of editorial boards. And in Ibn Sina, we have published several articles on predatory publishing, a wake-up call for editors and authors in the Middle East and Africa. We published also awareness of predatory journal among physicians, a survey, and have also done a bibliometric analysis for international medical literature on predatory journals. Unfortunately, the academic world has not been successful in fighting these. And early in this month, the International Committee of Medical Journal Editors expressed their increasing concern about the danger of the predatory journals, and they have reiterated the roles and responsibilities of authors, editors, and publishers, institutions, and funders. And their editorial has been published in about 16 journals and signed by most of the eminent editor-in-chiefs of these journals, including the one from La Tunisie Medical from Tunisia. And I recommend that audience look up this in any of these journals. It's open access and read it carefully. So the last part is what to submit. Firstly, preparations, and secondly, the process of submission. Preparations, read the journal's instructions carefully and make notes of what is required. Create an author's account. Download any forms if there are forms required to be downloaded. Ensure that you have all the details on your co-authors, including their full, correctly spelled name, their titles, their emails, their addresses, their post-nominals, sometimes it is required, and also have handy their digital signatures. Prepare all the forms, such as the International Committee of Medical Journal Editors Conflict of Interest, copyright transfer forms, and any specific forms that are required by the journal. These are a couple. The second one is to prepare all the files in a final format, including a cover letter, the first page, including everything about the authors and the title and short title, affiliation, corresponding author, full details, word count, number of figures, and tables. And then the main text, everything except the above, but include the title and the short title and abstract, keywords, introduction, methods, results, discussion, conclusions, disclosures, references, and legends. And then for tables and figures, include them one by one, i.e., one file per table, one figure per table. The figures are supposed to be in a highest possible resolution in image files, not in Word files, and also do not embed the tables and figures into the main text. Supplementary material in a very variable form. Anything that actually you have to put as supplementary material, you can put it in its own format. Whether it is Excel sheet, PDF file, or Word file, does not really matter. These are examples, for instance. This is from the Journal of Diabetes and Endocrine Practice. It's a PDF file online, you fill it up, and then you put a digital signature on it. Here is in form of a Word file. This is the standard International Committee of Medical Journal Editors disclosure form. This one, each author must sign one of these forms. The previous form is only the corresponding author. Some journals still require you to put in a hand signatures. For instance, this is an example of our latest submission to the Eastern Mediterranean Health Journal. You have to comply with whatever the journals are requiring. Okay, so in conclusion, choosing the right journal in which to publish is the final, vital, and crucial step after the hard research work. Choosing the best journal can be a daunting prospect even for seasoned researchers, but making the wrong choice can cost valuable time, money, and effort. Key factors are aims and scope of the journal. Uh, Best to identify papers that are similar in quality and scope in the journal. Assess restrictions and consider the impact and potential reach. Authors, editors, and publishers all have joint responsibility to fight predatory journals by making the right choice, and also meticulous submission on the online journals saves time and effort and also enhances the chance of acceptance and give a good impression about you as a careful, meticulous researcher. Uh, I'd like to thank you very much at the end and just plug in the two journals that are my interest, the Journal of Diabetes and Endocrine Practice and the Ibn Sina Journal of Medicine and Biomedical Sciences. We welcome your submissions. Thank you very much.